had 3 questions come into his mind, all of which were vital to the issue, and they led him to victory. These inquiries came to him when he was cross-examining opposing witnesses, and at 3 different times. They seemed to leap at him, and he was asking about them before he realized how the investigation came. One of them related of a transaction and a private contract made by the solicitor on the other side of his client. It was a matter that both had agreed to keep in the closet secrecy, and the lawyer at once charged his client with treachery on the theory that, as the 2 were the only persons familiar with the making of the contract, he, the client, must have told of it. There was no other way. On this point, it is well to state that thousands of incidents have been found where similar charges of treachery and double-dealing have been made against innocent persons. And we just got, goes up to 11 from what I can see here, but we're on 9. A woman reports a case where a little girl was punished for disclosing a secret which her mother had confided in her, and made her promise not to tell her father. The father, sitting with the girl by a table, reading the evening paper, suddenly turned to the child and said, "Your mother has gone to a card party. Why did you not tell me?" It seems that the husband never suspected his wife of attending card parties, and the matter had not been the subject of any conversation between them. He did not even suppose she cared for cards. He gave no more thought to it, but went to bed. Later on, he heard the cries of the child, who informed her mother on the latter's return that her father knew all about the card party. "Then you must have told him," said the angry mother, but the little girl was innocent. 10. A clergyman tells the following incident himself, and we will let his letter be printed as he wrote it, as it follows. I was walking along the crowded streets one morning and chanced upon a man whom I had not had the pleasure of seeing for more than a year. I knew him, but his name slipped from my mind, and I could not call him by name, and I told him so. I asked him why he had not been to church for a year, and he said he had tried to get around, but was so tired on Sundays that he had to stay home and rest. I then said to him, "You were on an excursion all day last Sunday." He seemed surprised at the statement, but confessed to its truth, and claimed that he needs the recreation. After a minute's conversation on another subject, I told him that I was sorry to learn of the death of his brother on the continent. He declared that his brother was living, and that he had received a letter from him a short time before. But he was desirous of knowing how I got the information. I replied, "I do not know how I got it. I did not know you were on an excursion last Sunday. I spoke in both instances without deliberation." The man was bright enough to attribute the phenomenon to transference of thought, but the matter of his brother's death could not have been taken from the man's mind, as he knew nothing of it. I will not attempt to suggest explanations, as I know none that will make it clear. It was afterward learned that the brother on the continent had died 2 days before the conversation, and that no news of the fact had been wired across the ocean. Why it should have been entered into the mind of the minister and not the mind of the man he was speaking to puzzled them both. The explanation is this. The brother on the continent, hoping to survive his illness and meet his brother in England, talked about him during his late sickness and evidently thought of him. The knowledge of the death must have reached the mind of the brother in England, but the latter's consciousness, not being able to receive knowledge from his other mind, gave him no information, while the clergyman, being of a more acute mind, caught the knowledge from the other mind of the man with whom he was talking. This is a common occurrence, and will explain the most troublesome of all the problems with which people have to deal. So even if a thought comes into my mind and I can't access it or I can't articulate it, it's still come to my mind, and other people can access it with a more acute mind. Another case is a typical one, as between the living and the dead. A man who had promised that if he were to die before the other members of a psychic society, he would send back some message. She gave forth a writing that purported to have been dictated by the spirit of the dead man, and in it he disclosed a secret that had been known only to him and a friend who lived 7,000 miles away. To make the matter more sure, the friend was kept. The friend was kept in total ignorance of the whole proceeding. In fact, it was not until this writing appeared that any of the survivors of the society knew either of the secret or the friend, the latter's name being included in the writing. In all the lore of psychology, there never was any case so sure. Of all the learned men who took this information, not one could find any explanation save that the dead man had kept his word and had furnished the most positive proof of his existence in spirit form. But the true explanation is very simple. The woman possessed an active psychic mind and was able to hypnotize herself into a trance, as thousands are able to do at the present day. In this trance state of her other mind was in evidence. In this trance state her other mind was in evidence, and the writing was produced by it. The other mind of the dead man had during his life conveyed to his close friends the secret and the name of his distant friend who alone knew it. This knowledge finding lodgment in the other mind of one or more of those to whom he had made the promise to reveal himself after he died. But he did not reveal himself through this secret and the name of his faraway friend while he lived, and the secret and name were kept there until the other mind of the medium beheld them and called them forth. The process is plain and simple enough as soon as it is understood. In another case, a man who died with a most vital and important secret to which no other person had been admitted, said to some of his friends, "I have carried all my life, since a young man, a secret that is so deep that no suspicion of it has ever reached anyone. It is wholly mine and will die with me. After I am dead, I propose to make the effort to send it back to you. If I succeed, you will know what it is from directions that will be sent from the spirit world. There can be no mistaking them. When once you have these directions, you will know how to discover the secret, and it will surprise you all as you have never before been surprised in your life.